Saone, which is without question my favourite river in France, swept me down to the great city of Lyon, where it joins the mighty Rhone. The Saone is most of the time a lazy, sinuous river, but from time to time, like a beautiful woman, it loses its temper and turns into a broiling torrent. Today the Saone was in a pleasant mood and carried me good-humouredly past the villages that lie to the north of Lyon. Past Collonges, home of the legendary Paul Bocuse and his 3-star restaurant, but more of that later. The Saone sweeps past little islands once fortified and complete with their own churches. This one, the Ile Barbe, is trying to set itself up as an independent republic. Lyon, France's second city, has always been rich. During the Middle Ages, under royal patronage, it became the centre of the silk industry. Many of the silk weavers came from Italy and brought their styles of architecture with them. Along the banks of the Saone, as it enters Lyon, are magnificent rows of Italianate houses. The light on the water and the reflections of the houses must have inspired the colours and patterns of the silk trade. Behind me on the hill lies the Croix Rousse district, where the best silk fabrics are woven nowadays. Under the final bridges on the Saone, past the cormorants, and suddenly I was in the blue waters of the Rhone. Down below me lay Lyon, where I'd been told the citizens were pretty serious about their food, if not to say religious. The Rhone and Saone had decided to lose their tempers and were in flood. Luckily, my resourceful neighbour had arranged a way ashore. I set out for Les Halles, the food market. A friend had told me about the legendary Colette Sevilla, queen of the Lyonnaise sausage. I went straight to her and started my first course on the bouffe lyonnaise. I told her I'd had a bad experience with quenelle, a Lyonnais speciality made of pike flour and of course cream, which were as heavy as lead. Colette assured me that hers were as light as angel's wings. These, she told me, were without flour and much lighter. That's a dried sausage, the Jésus. Why, I inquired, was it called by that name? It's not Jesus Christ, it's not the same spelling. Moi, j'habite dans l'autre. Colette gave me a sausage in brioche to take home and cook. That's really Lyonnaise, she told me. Monsieur Minet said he kept the names and addresses of all the hundreds of clients in his head. He said he didn't believe in computers. I asked at René Richard's famous cheese shop why Lyon was so famous gastronomically. First of all, her daughter told me there's some extraordinary cooks, and there are lots of bouchons, small restaurants with really good food. Also, Lyon is privileged to have all round it the best produce. I asked René Richard if the common market rules bothered her. With a toss of her head, she said, "What, at my age?" I soon discovered the Lyonnais have a passion for oysters. These chubby chaps told me theirs came from Normandy's famous Omaha Beach. I thought I'd better get to the bottom of this oyster business and at least learn how to open them. I chose Mr. Bonastier, the oldest man in the market at 84 years, to put me through my paces. He showed me how to push your knife into the crack in the shell about halfway along the side and prise it open, and then detach the oyster from its shell. I horrified him by trying to use my own knife. You have to use a special blade. You have to detach the oyster from its shell so you can swallow it whole. You shouldn't bite an oyster. Voilà.
C'est pas mal. Voilà. On les détache comme ça. On les détache.
So there I was with my friend George Edine, slurping our way through a couple of dozen of Mr. Bonastier's best.
Bon, comment vous appelez ça? Oyster? Oyster.
Parce que le dimanche, par exemple, le dimanche matin, les gens...
George told me that the in crowd in Lyon do a bit of jogging Sunday mornings and tip up here and settle down to a plate of oysters and a bottle of wine from Macon. What they do after that is their business. When I got back to my boat, I found myself fending off sizable driftwood brought down by the floods. At night, the sounds of logs hitting the steel hull sounded just like those tense submarine films with the depth charges exploding outside. Happily, my boat is still floating. In France, everybody gets 2 chances to celebrate their birthday. Once on their birthday and once on their Saint's Day. It was St. Colette's Day, so Colette, the queen of the sausage, took me to meet some of her friends in a typical Lyon bouchon. Cosily decorated, this bouchon has private rooms upstairs for politicians to meet away from prying eyes. Lunching in Lyon is a serious business. The food is delicious and plentiful. It took me some time to find out that most of the Lyonnais hardly eat at all in the evening, so they're ready for the next day's dose of delicious cream sauces or whatever their ingenious chefs have dreamt up. Andre Canova, a silk scarf manufacturer, presented Colette with one of his latest creations.
Another one.
Non mais moi j'en ai ras-le-bol, je fais une trop bonne qualité, si tu veux ça s'use pas alors.
The secret of a good bouchon, apart from the food of course, is the personality of the patron. He has to be able to persuade his clients to order briskly whilst regaling them with the latest news and views. The centre table in this bouchon is reserved for people who come alone. They're expected to talk to each other. Colette, who supplies this restaurant, insisted I try some of her quenelles. She was right. They were light and delicious.
Absolutely.
On a passé un bon moment chez Doudou.
The chef came to receive our praise. The meal was over. The next day I went back to Les Halles and found myself with a group of very young chefs who were there buying vegetables which they were going to learn how to cook. Serious foodies start young in Lyon. Marielle, one of Colette's 5 beautiful daughters, sold me some of her sausages and told me how to cook them. Just poach them in water and eat them with cabbage or potatoes.
Et alors vous les faites juste pocher à l'eau.
Ah bon, ok.
Facile ça.
Oui.
Combien j'en mets? 2? 4.
My next sortie into the world of the bouchon with Colette and her florist Doudou was to the popular Café des Fédérations. Colette had brought one of her Jesus sausages as a gift to replace the old one that had hung there for the last 3 years.
Et trop sec ton lion, mon chéri.
Boudin aux pommes, pomme en l'air.
Mais c'est aussi un peu
Ça s'est mangé au Lord-Mer de Birmingham.
Oui.
C'est un ami du monsieur qui mangeait pour nous. Bon, merci, mais c'est moi qui l'avais invité.
Toujours sourire moi. Bon, alors je répète.
Doudou, m'énerve.
Lita.
Next day I decided to branch out on my own and try a workman's breakfast at 9:30 a.m. This is where I met the really serious trenchermen of Lyon. Paul the patron and his wife run their bouchon on their own.
Toutes les
Aux petites anglaises, aux petits anglais. Ça tu comprends pas, Jean. Disons, monsieur Berger, je t'ai toujours posé des questions. Je te demande le jambon. Tu veux pas de rillettes non plus? Monsieur le plombier.
Mr. Plumber, said Paul, radiating bonhomie, leave your card with the Englishmen because they need some good central heating in England.
Santé à tout. Bonne santé. Bon voyage. Bon voyage.
Et dans un moment, j'aurai peut-être du chirou. On va pouvoir le goûter, mais je ne sais pas si on
Non.
I skipped the calf's head, having taken a peek in the kitchen, but settled for andouillette, a sausage made from cow's intestines. Stuffed to the gills and a little rocky on my feet, I realized there was no way I could be a true Lyonnais and start eating again in 2 hours. Paul and his wife won the prize for the best bouchon in Lyon this year. Lyon has some fine buildings. The Italian-influenced Théâtre Célestin is one of them. 4 plump nymphs squirt water perpetually at the Jacobins' fountain.
Qu'est-ce que tu dis, ma chérie? Depuis
The last bouchon I went to was chez Hugon. With its minuscule kitchen, Mère Hugon cooked what was for me the best food. An intrepid New York Times reporter searched her out and praised her to the skies, and now she's the toast of the time. She told me she'd been born on a working barge on the river and was used to working in a confined space. Female cooks are a Lyonnais tradition. Mère Hugon was happy to share some of her secrets. Her blood sausage and caramelized apples were out of this world. Her chicken livers, served like a kind of cake, with a cream sauce and quenelle, have to be experienced at least once in a lifetime. Haute cuisine it ain't, but eating just doesn't come any better. Just watching this beautiful, calm woman cooking her minor masterpiece makes me long to return. Lyon is like an artichoke. Every day you pull off another leaf and discover another treasure. Bartholdi designed this magnificent fountain. He also designed the Statue of Liberty in New York. To finish off my education in the cuisine of Lyon, Colette took me to the upmarket restaurant of part of her extended family. The lady sommelier told me everyone had their favorite wine. Her man was a Hermitage La Chapelle. I liked her at once when she demanded what color wine we wanted, and pretty well asked us to leave the choice to her.
Rosé. Je suis toujours, mais bravo. Que du pain blanc. Mais je t'explique parce que c'était fabuleux.
The elegance of the restaurant is way above that of a bouchon, and the food is adventurous and impeccably presented. On the menu that day was one of Christian Tête-Douar's specialties, calf's head and lobster. I tried it. It was good, but how do these chefs think of these combinations, I wonder? Christian, one of the elite meilleurs ouvriers de France, or best workers of France, led me into his kitchen to watch him work.
Végétalien ne mange pas de produits de la mer, mais le végétarien mange.
Christian, a disciple of the great Paul Bocuse and trained by him, understands the need for implicit discipline and cleanliness in the kitchen.
Enlève le gros rondon en cuivre, là, il va nous gêner pour le service.
Always adventurous, here he is creating a new way of eating snails in pastry with mushrooms.
Des pizzas. D'abord.
Bordelaise, elle est chaude? Oui.
Finally, I got around to asking Christian how he'd thought of the Tête de Veau lobster combination. I just walked into my fridge one day and had the idea. Now it's become a classic. It's been on the menu for 8 years. It's truly delicious, I told him. Positively Rabelaisian. Yes, that's it. It's the generosity of Lyon. As I left, Christian suggested I went with his son Jean-François to the Cathedral of Saint-Jean to hear him sing. It was hard to believe that this little scamp in football clothes had the voice of an angel. But then Lyon is full of surprises.